All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. If you can hear me, please just send in your emojis so that I know that I'm audible. Great, 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 great. So once again, um oh great, great. I'm super excited for this, and finally the day we've been looking up to is finally here. And I want to assure you that this meeting is going to be one that you would leave and know that you attended the meeting. It's not a regular meeting you've always gone to, and it's not a technical talk sort of. It's more of a conversational discourse with myself and a senior software engineer. So just be rest assured that everything you want to hear, everything you have been anticipating to know will be thoroughly discussed in this discussion. And at the same time, I would also want to indulge you that before we start, you can just help us to, I mean, the flyer you saw that brought to you, just help us share the flyer around so that a number of persons will also be able to join us as soon as possible. And I'm also super excited to have you guys join us as early as this. And yeah, so just help us with a few broadcasting on your social media, on your status to just let the world know that, yeah, something is something is going to happen. Right. So, okay, all right, just give me a minute, please. Yeah, all right. So I'll put on my camera now so that you can all see me and so that we'll be able to start. All right. Yeah. So hello everyone. Good evening again. And I'm super excited that you all have been able to join us on this call. And I'm happy that we are doing this. And the day I've been looking towards to is finally here. So briefly, I'll just give you a brief discussion about why we are here, what we hope to achieve, and what we're looking forward to. All right. So this event is actually to help students like you and myself and developers, early career engineers, to understand how to intentionally prepare for and position themselves for international opportunity in technology. So it's not like I said earlier, it's not a conventional technical talk, right? It's a practical discourse with Toby Adeoye. And then we'll be looking at we're going to be exploring his strategies, right? His lessons, the decision he made, what he did actually, I mean, actual process, just be ready for actual process on how he was able to move from Nigeria to global companies, right? And I want you to leave here with clarity, right? So everything we're going to be discussing today, just be after what you leave with after the conversation, right? I know you have questions, you have things you want to ask. Yeah, and regards to questions, questions will be actually taken after the discussion, right? So if you have any questions, just like just keep it somewhere or just note them down so that as we progress in the discussion, at the end of the discussion, we'll actually entertain all your questions. All right. So if you have questions, don't interrupt, just keep them down and note. And also in the course of the discourse, Toby can actually answer your question. If that happens, just so we can just move on and be able to accommodate more questions. All right. So yeah, once again, I want you guys to drop your best emojis that you have. So I just know that you guys are very much interested in this and you are ready to digest all that we'll be discussing tonight. All right, all right, all right, all right. Thank you, Tijani. Thank you, Tito. Thank you, Temilua. And once again, lastly, before we go into the discourse, I want you guys to still do one thing for me. Please go to your WhatsApp status, go to your social media, and just drop the flyer that you saw that brought you here. Help us share the flyer across your social media across your status. And this is all right. This is 6 minutes past 8. So basically, this event is from campus to global tech, how to prepare and position yourself for global opportunities, right? And here with us, here tonight is Joseph Waiting, that's myself, and I'm the host of this event, and I'm also GGG's OAU Web Development Community Lead, and we are the organizers of this event, all right? And at the end of at the end of this event, this call will be recorded, and will be dropped on our social media handles, majorly on YouTube, all right? So you can go back to it after this call to check on some things and just be in sync with everything we'll be discussing tonight, right? So yeah, and the main reason why we are all here, the reason why we have called this discussion is to meet with Toby, and I'll be doing a brief description, a brief introduction of Toby. So yeah, Toby, he's Yeah, can you still hear me? All right. So Toby, he's a senior software engineer at Meta, where he builds AI-driven solutions to identify and mitigate privacy risk across thousands of features and products the company ships. Previously, as Goldman Sachs, he built master data management systems for business engineering teams before serving as lead engineer on the fixed income ETF engineering team. His interests span applied AI, large-scale distributed systems, and financial engineering. And outside of work, Toby mentors junior engineers, develops AI side projects, studies personal finance and investing, and plays lawn tennis. All right. So that was a very brief introduction of Toby. And before we start properly, I would want to hear from the horse's mouth, and I'll just give Toby a few minutes to just give us an overview of your career journey from university days to where you are now, so that everybody can be rest well informed. Right. Thank you.
Hi, hi guys. I'm excited
Yeah.
to I'm excited to be here this evening. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. You are.
Cool. It's a pleasure to be here today. Um, I remember a few years ago I was just once like you in uni, trying to learn more about global opportunities and all of these things. So this is something I'm very passionate about. So it's a pleasure for me to be standing here or sitting here today, speaking to all of you to learn more about global opportunities. So very briefly, I would give you a brief overview of my career from uni until now. So once again, I'm Toby Ajoye. I schooled in Nigeria. I went to Lautech to be specific. I'm sure most of you know Lautech. So that was around 6 years ago and 3 months, I would say, to be very specific. I think that was the time I left school. I studied electrical and electronic engineering. So I did that in school, and while I was still in school, so some
Please, can you? Yeah, you can go on.
Cool. So I did electrical and electronic engineering in school, in Lautech. Did that for 5 years before I moved to Goldman as a software engineer. But prior to me moving to Goldman as a software engineer, I did my internship as well in Goldman. So I'm sure most people here know about IT. I did my IT at Goldman. So in my 400 level, I think I did my IT here in London as a software engineer at Goldman. Went back to Nigeria to finish my studies. Came back here as a full-time software engineer. From then, I went through the ranks from an analyst software engineer to an associate and eventually VP. But between then, like you said in my description earlier that you gave, I was working on master data management teams before I was building data systems for people. And then I moved to fixed income portfolio engineering team where I was the lead software engineer on the team as well. And then in total, I spent around 5 years and some months at Goldman. So I did become a VP at Goldman, which is equivalent of a senior software engineer. And then I moved to Meta now, where I'm working as a senior software engineer in privacy. And what I do in privacy, it's literally using AI today to identify risk. So when you use Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagrams, and the like, one of the things we need to protect is your data as a user of the platform. So we have a commitment to you as our users, and also to the regulator as well, to ensure that we are doing the right thing with data. Anything we promise you as a platform, we also uphold that commitment to you as our user, and also to the regulators. So what I do today is to use AI to identify everything the company launches today. So I work with the product teams, the teams behind Instagram, the teams behind WhatsApp, the teams behind what else? Facebook itself, right? Trying to understand the things they are trying to build, the things they're trying to launch, and also identifying the risk there as it pertains to use that data, so we can also ensure that that risk is fully mitigated. So that is what I do today. So to summarize, I've gone from studying electrical and electronic engineering, which has absolutely nothing to what I do today. I'm not an electrical engineer. I don't use any of the things I did in school, which is quite interesting. I've gone to Goldman, which is also very different from what I do today. It was a financial company. Now I'm working with big tech, so it's all different things that I've done in my career. So I'm excited to share a lot of my learnings with you, my journey specifically, and also to answer any specific questions you have today.
Oh, great. Honestly, I was so excited to have you as well. Even me myself, I'm so excited. And you've given us a very incredible journey. And I mean, we're going to be discussing them, we're going to break them into bits and talking about them briefly. But honestly, I must really comment that that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot. Being able to, secure the opportunity from IT, being able to hold on to being able to be retained. I mean, it's something worth considering. And I'm very glad that we're having you on this conversation. And yeah, like you said, Toby will be answering your questions. So if you have any question whatsoever, whether I mean, and Toby, I want to know that we have a number of persons here, both people in 100 level, 200 level, 300 level, even those that are preparing for the IT next year, right? So this is going to be a very great eye opener for every one of us to actually restructure our approaches, restructure our preparations, and just have a better understanding of how this actually works out there. So it's such a great privilege to have you on this call, honestly, and I'm so super excited. I'm so glad. I'm very happy that we are doing this. All right. Once again, I'm saying this, please and please go to your WhatsApp statuses, go to your social media handles, and help us broadcast that this thing has started, and we're about to get deep into the conversation. All right, right about now. So yeah, Toby has given us a brief overview of his tech journey, his career journey from Lautech as an engineering student, 400 level engineering student, to Goldman Sachs, spending about 5 years there. And after that, he, even at Goldman Sachs, he moved from being an analyst to associate. Don't worry, we'll tell us more about what that means. Moving from analyst to associate, and then becoming the vice president of a team, leading the team, and then from there moving to Meta as a senior software engineer and working primarily on AI privacy risk and all those things. I mean, Toby is the one behind everything happening at Facebook, everything happening at Instagram, and all. So it's such a great privilege to have this conversation with you, and I'm so glad again that we're having this. All right, thank you for that. So the next thing we'll be going right into now is the conversation. The conversation. So Toby, let's start from here. I want us to look at how the beginning was for you, right? Here, I want to understand the early stage of your preparation. What was the preparation like? How did you begin to prepare yourself? And one question that really strikes me more is, when did you start tech? Like, when did you actually start this thing? Was it in the university? Was it before university? What when you started, how was your preparation like? Were you really aspiring for these companies, or it just came and then you were able to align to it? Or what exactly was the beginning stage like for you, even back in the university?
Right. I think that's a very great question that takes me back a couple of years ago. So, like I said earlier in my introduction, I did study electrical and electronic engineering, which by the design of the curriculum, it's nothing related to software engineering or really coding heavy. I remember the only coding thing I ever did was Pascal. I know it's very interesting to say Pascal. So as at I think 8 years or 9 years ago, when I was in 200 level, that was the first time I had any introduction to programming, which was Pascal at the time. I think CS1 or something. And prior to then, I've always had interest in software, but never had a chance to explore them. So going through that course really opened my eyes to programming. That's my first practical experience with programming, I would say. But it wasn't just more than just going for the course, sitting for the exam, and just passing it. But at the same time, like I said, I had some deep interest about programming. But fast forward to 300 level or so, the school went on strike. I'm sure most people here know Lautech for strike. Then, if you don't know, Lautech is a school in Oyo State, Nigeria, Ogbomoso to be very precise. There was a lot of issues with the school then, where like very frequently we go on strike, also strikes, even like internal strikes. And it was during one of those times that I actually started to learn programming properly. So it was my second semester at 300 level. I was at home, not doing anything. The school was on strike, and I decided to just maximize the time then. And then I started learning programming. My first experience with programming outside doing CS201 in Lautech was, I think it was HTML and JavaScript then. I was reading a book then, at first, web design. I think that's the name of the book. I did that. It wasn't quite challenging for me. HTML and JavaScript was very boring to me, in my opinion, and I felt like I needed some challenge. So I eventually started learning Java. So I fell in love with Java. Java was very interesting to me, and then I was doing that for a while. And then during that period as well, there was something called Andela Learning Community. So I became part of Andela Learning Community as well, to sort of like have an community around me that would also like challenge me and motivate me while I'm just learning on my own as well. So that was what I did then. So it was that was literally how I got into programming. And the funny thing is, when I was learning programming, I wasn't specifically preparing for any specific opportunity. There was nothing like that. I was just bored at home, just trying to maximize my time and just following some interest that I had from long ago, right? And it wasn't so long after I started the Andela Learning Community that I got into Goldman. So I think then it was maybe 9 months from when I started programming to
Wow.
getting to Goldman. And
Wow.
another way of saying this is, prior to working at Goldman as a software engineer for my IT, I never had any professional software engineering experience. I just started learning
Wow.
coding. I was part of Andela Learning Community, and it just happened. I will tell you more about the what the process looks like specifically, but just to like answer your question specifically, I didn't have any preparation in mind when I was doing all of these things, right? I just wanted to learn something and just maximize my time then. So that was literally what happened when I started the whole thing.
Wow. 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 That's great. And there's a lot of things we can actually pick from there. First is, I mean, if I look back to what you said you started at in your 200 level. I mean, started programming properly after beyond CS201 was Pascal, started HTML and CSS, and then from there you felt it was less challenging, and then you moved to Java, right? And then you jumped in the space of 9 months. I mean, it's I mean, you said it right, and we know the result that actually showed. But I want you to can you just like tell us how it happened. How were those 9 months like? Was it 9 months of rigorous? Sorry, um, okay, it's actually Andela, Andela, Andela community, right? All right, thank you. So, I mean, you said just about 9 months from when you started HTML, HTML, CSS, and Java till when you got the opportunity. But okay, I have two questions about that. Number one is, does that still apply now? I mean, in this current age of where everything has literally changed, does that still apply to us now? Or I don't know. And another thing is, how are you able to maximize the time? Like, how exactly are you able to maximize 9 months to be able to prepare yourself for such an opportunity? I mean, something I want us to discuss for a while.
Yep. So one thing I will keep iterating was that I was never preparing towards anything specifically, right? It
Okay.
was just me trying to put my time to some good use, right? I was trying to just learn something new, right? So that was how Java started. It was just that when I was on that journey, not long after then, I was looking for an IT placement, and Goodman was coming to Nigeria. I will tell you a bit how I learned about Goodman. So there was this platform then for student opportunities, right? I'd say I
Okay.
think it's called Stu10. I'm not sure the platform still exists at this moment, but there was this platform then where you could learn about opportunities, and I was looking for an IT opportunity, right? I didn't. I had been cold emailing a lot of companies in Nigeria, but it wasn't working out. I wasn't getting any
Okay.
response. And then
Okay.
I saw Goldman on this very specific platform. The only thing I knew then was this company was coming to Nigeria to recruit students for opportunity, right? I didn't know
Okay.
exactly what the team, what the company does. There was nothing like that. I didn't know what they were doing. I had zero knowledge about them. But as a student, I was desperate to find an IT placement. I just applied, like, okay, what's the worst thing that could happen? I'll get rejected, and that's it, right? So I just applied, and that was the how everything started, right? I went through a couple of process. We can talk more about what that looks like
Yeah,
in a
sure,
minute,
sure.
but that was what happened. And to answer your second question, that does that still apply today? I feel like it still applies very much in the sense that you can start coding today or start learning about software engineering, and between now and the next 1 year, you experience like some very dramatic success, or you get like some very exciting opportunity. So there is no specific timeline that I will say, okay, this is the timeline you need to give yourself. This is what you should be working towards. So I can't tell you that for sure. For some people, it takes them even less than 6 months to go from writing their first line of code to getting their uh, first work experience, right? Some it takes them much longer. So there isn't any specific time. It really depends on you, how fast you can progress. And also, I'm not going to deny the elements of luck in all of these things as well. That's personally, I also think luck is a very big thing, and it comes in different forms. For me, it was just um preparing at the right time. I got into coding just 9 months before my IT was due, and all of these things happened. So it was just the timing was correct. The timing was right for me, so to say, and that's my
Yeah.
luck. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's brilliant. That's brilliant, honestly. And yeah, truly, looks actually works. But at the same time, to prepare that, imagine you got opportunity, and then maybe that was when you're starting just HTML, right? So in a way, the lock still worked for you, and I think that's great. So let's move on to the next set of questions. And here, what like you said, here we're going to be dissecting more about how you're able to secure the opportunity, right? What were the interview process like? What was the application process itself? What was it like? What resources did you use, right? What should students also expect from interview? So here I want to just understand how you were able to actually at the end of the day secure the opportunity even beyond your preparation at all.
Right. Um, I would walk you through the process that I went through then, but I also
Okay.
highlight that a lot of things have changed since then. It's been a while, so there's been some differences to the process now. But then the very first process was to obviously apply online. You would submit your CV, and then you get shortlisted. The first thing we did then was to attend like hackathon in Lagos. Then so you
Okay.
submit your CV, and then they shortlist a couple of candidates to come from an hackathon event in Lagos. So during that hackathon, you would be part of a team, and then you get to work on a project together, just like to evaluate how you work in a team. So as you're working on the hackathon, then you're being evaluated in real time. So on each table, then with each team, you have a good man engineer as a mentor, and also to assess you while you work on the team. So they are getting some signals on how you communicate within a team. Is this person a good team player? All of those things, they're getting that signals. And then during the same event, we had this interview, right? It was sort of like a light interview, like 15 minutes. Each candidate was interviewed by two Goodman engineers. And these were like very basic sort of technical questions, right? Depending on your skill set. So, like I said, I'd learned Java, HTML, and also a bit of Android, then actually a bit of Android as well. Um, so I was asked questions on those things. So that was the first round of interviews, right? So based on the performance from the hackathon and also from the interviews, then the next set of candidates got shortlisted, and that process was it was the coding rounds, but the coding rounds that you could do from your house. I'm not sure if anyone or if most people here are familiar with rank and lead code. So it's those kind of problems. So the data structures and algorithm sort of test. So I did that from my school. So I was remote. So after the hackathon, everyone went to their house, obviously, and then like took the test as well. And then people that passed the ACA rank were shortlisted for the final round, which was supposed to be the last interview. Again, that was something. It was a remote interview, but they did provide a space in Lagos for us to come again, just for the sake of having good internet. Obviously, like you can imagine, like they don't want to they want to ensure that everyone has equal chances of success. So you don't want somebody being at a disadvantage because their network was not good. So they had to provide a space for us in Lagos that has good internet and all these facilities to be able to do the remote interview. So I did my remote interview in Lagos then as well. So it was me against two Goldman engineers as well. I think about 45 minutes. So it covers a lot of questions from data structures and algorithms, the project that I had worked on my CV, and all of those things, and also some soft skills sort of questions. So that was the entire process. So after then, a few weeks later, the candidate that got in were notified, and that was the entire thing. So the whole thing took about, if I'm not mistaken, say 2 months from applying to eventually getting in. And that was the process. I think you asked me some other things that I can't recall. Could you remind me some of the other questions you asked
Yeah,
earlier?
I think you actually answered them already. I'm talking about how the interview went. But one thing I want us to dwell on still on that point is, yeah, we know that most of us know that DSA is very much important, right? DSA is important as well as this code and those things. But I want to ask more specific questions. How were you able to actually, like, let's say, practice data structure algorithm? Like, what technique did you use? What how are you able to like prepare? I mean, I know you used lead code, but I mean, were you studying 10 hours a day on it? How was the structure like for you that were able to, you're able to, be able to stand the interview and succeed in it?
Right. Um, so two things. I will share with you my process then,
Okay.
and at the same time, I would tell you how you can go about things now. Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
As of then, I wasn't actively practicing data structures and algorithms. I feel like
Okay.
it's more relevant to people that are doing computer science. I think in computer science curriculums, I'm not sure what the curriculum looks like
Yeah,
today.
yeah, yeah. It's
People
part.
should be part of that. As an elect student, that wasn't something that I was really exposed to. But at the same time, one of the things that helped me then was I was part of a community in school, and just the way you have GDG here now, we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
GDG Lautech then. I was part of GDG Lautech. And one of the things we did in GDG Lautech was to participate in all these coding competitions.
Okay.
Then there was Ash code. Is it Ash code? I think that's the word for it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't think it exists anymore. So there was Ash code, there was Google Code Jam. Both programs were sponsored by Google. So I did that a couple of times with my friends. So I had some experience with data structures and algorithms, but it wasn't something that I studied specifically. It was just a byproduct of participating in all these coding runs. So I had like some exposure to it. So that was like the only practice I would say. And then obviously, when I was notified to take the Akaran test, I did a bit of research to just see, okay, what's Akaran even about? I mean, I knew about Akaran a bit, right? But I had to like do a bit more research. What are the kind of things I could exploit, all of those things. I just practiced a bit on the Akaran platform. That was what I did then. And now the way I would advise you structure your preparations now. So there are a lot more resources now. There's LeetCode now. I would, even though the team might still be using Akaran to test you, I believe LeetCode is a better platform to practice. So LeetCode has good resources from teaching you data structures and algorithm on its own, right? Just learning the basics of data structures and algorithms. And then for your interview specifically, you could also look at company specific questions. It's not a guarantee that the questions you practice from those things is what you're going to get during your interviews, but it can prepare you to see like, okay, these are the kind of questions this company has asked in the past. This is what candidates are saying about this company. So I would recommend you practice a lot more on LeetCode. And LeetCode is free. It has the basic tier that is free, and also you can pay for it if you can. But even the free tier even works. So I would advise you um, if you're really into getting into all these big companies, Goldman, Google, Meta, and the likes, you need to be able to solve the dark stories and algorithm problems. And I would recommend LeetCode a lot. I can't overemphasize that. Yeah.
All right, all right, all right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So one more thing to dwell on before we move on from that question is something very simple. You said that you had your CV and you had a few projects on your CV and then DSC and stuff like that. What was the other project now? what carries more weight? Is it your project? Is it the DSC? Or like what exactly do you think actually stood out for you during the process?
Um, that's a good question. I can't particularly say because I wasn't in the room when the decision was made about
I know,
which to
right?
get it offer or not. Um, but in my opinion, these things are not mutually exclusive. There are things you could still do a great job at, all of them. It's a no-brainer that you should have a CV, right? Regardless of what level you are. Even if your CV is just, let's say you're on 100 level, I don't expect you to have a lot of experience. So let's say your CV is just 10 lines. Fine, it works. That's your CV at that time, right? So
Okay.
your work is to add more things to the CV as you progress during your university journey. So you should have a CV, obviously, right? And there are a lot of free templates out there today to create your first version of your CV. So you should get your CV done. And then just because things have changed a lot, it's very much competitive out there today. So you need to make effort to stand out. Um, Anyone here could go on YouTube, say they are learning JavaScript, Java, and all of those things. But what a lot of people don't do is to actually put that to practice, right? And the best way to put that into practice is to work on side projects. And it doesn't have to be something crazy, really. It could be something very simple. It could even be something from the tutorial you're learning. So let's say the tutorial is teaching you something and then you build a very small thing. You could then take it on to expand on it, add more features to it, and put it to your GitHub. That's a side project. And then you add it to your CV. I did X, Y, Z. It's that simple. And then, like I said earlier, data structures and algorithm is not something you can't avoid that. Right? Times are changing, I would say, right? But still, these things are still very, very much relevant today. So you should practice data structures and algorithms. Even interviews aside, data structures and algorithms are important for you as a software engineer that wants to operate at the highest level because it forces you to think about things that you may not necessarily think about because you're not just exposed to them. It forces you to think about performance, what's the right way to write this code, what's the right data structure that I should use to make sure that my users have the good experience on this platform. So interviews aside, these skills are very, very much relevant and they would differentiate you from the rest of people. So you should definitely prioritize all of these things. And I think it's doable. So I wouldn't say you should do more of X, Y, Z over these. All of these things that we're talking about right now, you can literally work on all of them and give all of them the same priorities. Yeah.
All right, all right. Thank you very much for that intelligent perspective. But then still on the point of how to stand out, because that's something that is actually very much important to consider.
Yeah.
Just briefly, can you just give us if as a student, what are like the three major things that you think I should really focus on? I know you gave us a number of options, but what are the like three major things that you think should actually be more of high priority that could
Right.
actually make me person stand out?
Yeah. If someone had asked me these questions, say a few years ago, my answers might look slightly different, but the common theme still revolves around number one, you should learn the basic things, right? Computer science fundamentals as a software engineer is something you can't, is something, it's not negotiable. That's the word. You should get your fundamentals right. And the fundamentals are usually, we've been talking about structures, algorithms. And then I would advise that you take it a bit further in that a lot of the platforms you use today, Instagram, WhatsApp, Snapchat, all of these things, all of these people have technical blogs where they discuss about things they are doing on those platforms and how they build those systems, right? And then from those topics, they will also touch on fundamentals, right? So maybe it's some of the some architecture they adopt or just some nuances to how they design the platform. So you would learn a lot from doing all of those things. So again, the point is understand the fundamentals, right? It's non-negotiable.
All
Number
right.
two, number two, you should try not to be stuck on tutorials. And trust me, this was some mistake that I made as well early on in my journey. That it's I think it's very comfortable to just with doing tutorials, watching videos. It is very comfortable. Everyone likes it. It's a way to feel like you're progressing, which is good. Yeah, you're progressing, you're learning new things, but trust me, you learn a lot more when you put those things into practice. Build things. And the good thing is it's a lot easier to build things these days, right? You have a lot of tools available that are made it easier for you to just build and ship things, right? So you should try and leverage that. And a lot of these things are are free, and even for students, they are even more resources that are just free for you. So you should try to maximize all of these things and try to work on things. And then the last point that also touches on the second point is that learn to use AI. Like it's
Cool,
times have
cool, cool.
really changed. You can't almost in every company you work today, you use AI to work as an engineer. So times have really changed. Learn how to use AI. There are tons of resources on AI, Cloud Code, Codex, Open Code, all of these things. You should try and play with them and use them to ship things. I believe those would be like my top three things I would advise you to focus on in the current landscape.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll just reiterate so that people can still take that in. So the first thing is to learn the basics, right, and to get the foundation right, get the fundamentals right, and then beyond tutorials, you should build projects. I mean, that's very solid. And then learn to use AI. You know, I was going to talk about this in a bit. I mean, in this current landscape, and I mean, I saw an interview with Jensen Huang where he said that the whole industry has totally undergone a reset and everything has literally changed in this current age and time where things are beginning to look as though our roles are going, our work as engineers are going. I mean, you are in Meta, for example, and Meta just laid off its staff about a few weeks ago, and I mean, we are still there standing, right? So I want to just tell us how can we actually stand out in this time, in this age, like with the wave of AI, with the way things are changing, with the way companies are also changing their structures and way they bring in people. I mean, I don't want to say what's the future right now, but I mean, what do you think can enable us as students or as engineers to stand out even at this time?
Right. I think that the answer is obvious. Like, um, to be honest, times have changed a lot, right? As an engineer now, I know it's scary. Even people in the industry are scared that all our jobs are going away. Which some element there's some truth in that, but at the same time, you should. I try to be optimistic about it, right? Um, some of the things in your control, right, is that there's a shift happening, and you should stay on top of that shift as well. You don't want to be left out in 2020. So you should, the industry is changing, and as the industry is changing, you should also be able to adapt to it. You need that skill a lot. So you should jump on this thing. Everyone is talking about AI. Use AI, right? Try to use AI for a lot of things, right? Remain curious, right? There's so many
Okay,
things. There's
I'm
so
sorry
many
to
things.
sorry to cut you. Sorry to
Yeah,
cut you. On that part of use AI, can you like just give us a more practical approach, like how to actually use AI in that sense, like a more practical approach as to okay,
yeah,
I don't okay, go for example, you for example, how have you been using AI for your workflows and stuff like that, so we can know how.
yeah. Cool, right? So usually, as an engineer, you would go from a business problem, right? That's usually what it is. You go from a business problem, and then you try to understand the requirements, and then from there you propose a design for the problems. And then once the design is solid, you try to implement. That's usually how I work, right? In most cases. And every part of this process, I now use AI for them. Not 100% AI, but I use AI to one assist me and also to bootstrap quickly and also to just like refine some of my thoughts, right? And so usually when you have a requirement from human, obviously AI is not the one giving requirements, right? You
Yeah.
would try to come up with a design for that requirement, right? So today I would literally obviously I have some of my ideas, and then the next thing I will try to do is to try to say open my Cloud Code. I use Cloud Code a lot. I mean, I'm a big fan of Cloud Code.
Sure, sure.
And then yeah, so I give Cloud Code. Okay, this is the requirement that I have from my C product manager, for example. And these are the design I'm thinking about. One of the things that I think will have been so difficult to do if there wasn't AI was taking those design and be able to ensure that I've covered like all of the things I should cover. One, because Meta has a very large code base, right? Meta uses monorepo in the sense that
Wow.
all the code behind Facebook, Instagram, everything is in one giant
One.
repo,
Wow.
right? Everything is in one giant repo, which is very cool. It is actually very nice. So sometimes you get overwhelmed by such large code base, and for you to like click around files to understand what's going on, it will take you a lot of time. It's doable. People were doing it before AI, but now AI makes that really fast. I can literally just give the AI the PRDs, my designs, and it's going to go around the code base and try to help me understand some of the gaps that I've missed. And the good thing about that is I can then come up with a design that is very solid, right? I can do this without AI, but AI makes it really fast. All right. The next thing obviously is to try to once I'm okay with the design, I would want to ship the code and all of these things, right? AI makes this even a lot easier because we literally went through the design together. It can literally ship for me a prototype within few days or even few hours in a lot of cases, right? And then I can ship this, and now code is very cheap, right? I don't have to spend weeks or even month before I get the first version of my product that I can share with my stakeholders and get feedback on early, right? Because usually engineers will have gone and I mean we try as much as possible pre-AI era to clarify things a lot before we get into coding and all of those things. But now with AI, we've shortened that time frame to go from a requirement to an MVP, right? You can literally go from a requirement to an MVP in 1 or 2 days. So AI makes that feedback look like much shorter. And the end goal is that you can have idea today and within 1 or 2 weeks it's in production, it's live already. So that's how I work. So every part of the workflow as an engineer, even code reviews, I use AI to review my code. I use AI to write the code, and then at the same time I use AI to review my code, just like get from early feedback before I send it to humans. So that's how I use it today. For everyone, I would say that yeah, you should learn how to use these things a lot. It's in this age that skill is very relevant. Obviously, you can't take away your own judgment, your own skill set as an engineer, which is why you should learn things on your own as well, right? You can't just delegate everything to AI. You also need to have good knowledge of things to be able to instruct AI properly. There's a difference between someone that is skilled trying to use AI to solve a problem and another person that is unskilled trying to use AI to solve the same problem. They will get different results. Even if they are using the same setup and everything, they will get different results just because there's the difference here is that one person is skilled, they have some judgment they built over time, they have some knowledge they built over time, and this person doesn't have it, right? So the biggest thing here is to be that person that has solid knowledge of things, you know your stuff, and at the same time you know how to use AI effectively, right? Those two skill sets are
Yeah.
very much relevant today, and I would say that today even fine AI is taking jobs as well, but for you to even be relevant in today's world, you need those two things for sure.
Yeah, yeah, thank you very much. That's actually very profound. And I think even personally, I've been able to see a lot of things from that. All right, so because of time, I mean, you dealt well on that part, and I'm very much excited. So now I want to move to how life is inside the global companies, right? How it is to work, and if we can actually go back to when you started at Goldman Sachs, how was it like? Was there any pressure? I mean, working on that world class level, stuff like that. How is life inside those companies? Just tell us more about that.
Yeah, sure. um Obviously when I started working at Goldman, it was very special for me in the sense that that was the first experience I ever had in my life. That was the first place I would
Wow.
ever work. Yeah. I mean, maybe not 100% true. So let me tell you something. On the CV that I used to apply for Goldman, the only work experience I had on it was some digital marketing internship that I did. Like it was from an NGO sort of thing, and they just like taught me digital marketing for a while. It was an internship, and it wasn't a work properly. It was just me going to some office maybe every other day, and I was meeting someone, and they were just teaching me some basic things. So I had never had any professional experience. So starting my professional experience in a company as Goldman, as big as Goldman, was a lot of, I think on my end, it was a lot of pressure for me because I understood at the time that it's one of the highest level I could operate in, like being in that environment is one of the, obviously one of the biggest companies around the world. Um, so when I first moved to London and to Goldman, some of the cult I had like a lot of culture shocks, right? One being that the fact that obviously I was coming from Nigeria, right? We're big on respect, and I know also I've heard a lot how the workplace is structured. Like there's an hierarchy in most companies in Nigeria. It's just the nature of culture and also the environment. But here, it's very flat. Your top bosses are people you could run into on the floor. You can have chat with them. You call everyone by their first name, which is quite interesting. Like this is someone that
Yeah,
is going to be my dad, and obviously I can't call my dad by his first name, right? But these are like people I would call by their first name. So it was quite interesting. So it was I was navigating a lot of things at the same time, like getting comfortable with the culture, the pressure that I was feeling myself, not because anyone was giving me any pressure at work. It was just self-inflicted pressure, and also trying to um, justify the fact that I was hired. There's this there's
yeah,
this thing where you feel like, okay, maybe I'm an imposter and I should deserve this opportunity. So you want to prove yourself. So
yeah,
there's that angle as well. And then it was also it was an eye-opening experience as well to see that as an engineer, I could make such impact in the sense that I know I understood and I saw how much important the things I was working on for the company. Then I was working on data systems that if those things were not working, the company might lose money just because some traders don't have access to the data to make their trades and do their businesses. So that was another eye-opening experience. So it was just a lot of things coming at once, uh, coming um, coming all at once to me. But I had a lot of support from the
yeah.
company itself. Goldman is a place that has a lot of support for interns or even full-time engineers. There's a lot of focus on diversity at Goldman. So you see people like you. By the way, when I got hired as an intern, we were like, I think more than 20 from Nigeria at the time. So just seeing familiar faces around also helped a lot, and having good manager and all of those things and good colleagues made a difference then.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And let's look at this question. How did you grow into leadership responsibilities?
Mhm.
Starting out from the data analyst that I said you were to actually coming up to leading the team. How did that actually come out?
Yeah. And by the way, it wasn't data analyst, it was an analyst, meaning analyst is more of an entry level software engineer thing. So that's how
Yeah.
banks have their leveling. Yeah, this is that. So obviously I came in as an analyst. I think 2 years into the role, I became an associate, which is a mid-level engineer, which is still not, I would say, leadership role. But at the time, I was starting to lead small features and implementations on my own, right? And eventually um, became a lead software engineer at Goldman. But the way it happened was I was on one team before. I was on that team for like 4 years and some months, and I was still an associate as at then, but the team felt not challenging anymore. So I wanted to try something new. So I decided to find another role inside the company. And then I spoke to this guy. He was a managing director, and it was just starting up a new team for the business then, the fixed income business then. And I think at the time as well, I was also trying to one stretch myself. So one thing in my career is that I've always loved to challenge myself, right? You know, that feeling of I don't know this thing. I know I'm going to figure it out because yeah, I just have to figure it out. I like those things. Like it's crazy. Like during the process, like the feeling of oh, will I figure this thing out? But I know for sure you figure things out eventually. So, but I like to challenge myself a lot. And then it was like, okay, this is a new team. We were building everything from scratch, and it was very exciting. So I was one of the first few hires for the team, and then I had the chance to literally shape the direction of the platform, empty code base, empty everything, all of those things. So writing the first lines of code, building infrastructure. I was also like working with another engineer. Then was an associate. I was not an associate, but I was already like on track to becoming a VP then, right? So I needed to basically step up to this challenge. And even though at the time it felt like okay, I'm not sure I'm going to figure this thing out, but like I said, you always figure out things eventually. So I think that was my first opportunity to actually uh, becoming like a proper leader. But obviously, it didn't just happen; it happened over the years. From like I said, from building small features to building like even bigger features and all of those things. So as you're doing all of those things, you're building a track record of excellence behind you. So people will trust you more, right?
Yeah.
People will not just hand over to you a bigger responsibility from nowhere. No, it doesn't happen like that. You need to have proven yourself over the years, and you do these things by obviously you start small, and when people trust you with small things, you want to outdo yourself, you want to exceed their expectations, and over time people will trust you even more with bigger things. So that's how like my career has always been, trying to challenge myself, trying to outdo myself every time. It takes a lot of hard work, I would say. It takes a lot of hard work, but that has been the recipe for me personally.
Oh, that's profound again. That's profound again. And I think it's such something. It's such a great thing to consider because it's one thing to get the role, the other thing to be able to sustain it and to be able to move up the ladder to taking up bigger roles. Because of time, I want us to just take up the last section of discussion so that we can entertain questions from the audience. And here, I want us to move from to actually move on to how we can actually take actionable steps. All right. I want people to leave here with what they can go and start to do almost immediately. Right. And even if it's going to be what they can prepare to do in a matter of months, in a matter of, 3 to 6 months or something like that, something that we can begin to, because one thing I'm looking forward to is after this discussion, I'm going to set up a follow up on the general group where we actually follow up ourselves, set up accountability structures, set up consistency challenges and stuff like that can actually keep the community, keep everyone at their foot. But like, if you're going to advise us, like at a bigger perspective, what are the things that I think we should actually do? What are the resources you think we should consume? And what are the habits? Yeah, the habits that accelerated your growth. And question like also, what are like the mistakes that I think students should avoid?
Yeah. Um, Things you could do and things to avoid. Um, I think I will still touch upon a lot of things that I've mentioned today. So one is that you should. I think the first thing also is to be able to assess yourself, right, and know exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Because when I think about it, knowing what you want is something that would then because it's the end goal, right? And I see it as if you have this end goal you're targeting in mind, you can walk backwards from there to map out, okay, this is where I want to get to, and this is what I need to do to get to that point. So having that clarity about what exactly you want for yourself is
Yeah.
something that I think everyone should take time to reflect on. Um, Software engineering is not the only thing you could do as a tech person. So you need to be honest with yourself. What exactly you want? Is it being a software engineer, or you could be a software engineer and you don't have any desire to work at big companies? You just want to, say, for example, be an entrepreneur early on in your career. You should understand that, right? And have that clarity in mind. And then once you have that clarity, you can work backwards from there. So in the context of this thing, so let's say the end goal is to become a software engineer at say Meta, for example, or Goldman, for example. Then the question then becomes, okay, how do I go from me being somebody in school to that point now? So that's when you need to access the gap between where you are right now and where you want to be. Right? For most people, let's say that's the case. Obviously, things like having a CV, I think at this point it's a no-brainer. You should have a CV to apply to opportunities. You should know at least some one programming language. You should work on projects. You should also start thinking of building even more skill sets outside like core tech skills. When you start working in all these companies, you at some point your tech skills become secondary, to be honest. Trust me. In the early years of your career, your tech skills is like the primary thing, which is fine. But at some point, your soft skills even become much more important, like how you communicate to people, how you listen, how you present ideas. All of these things will become much more relevant. And at the same time, you can start building some of those things by now. So you should be part of communities. GDG is always a good one. I was part of GDG myself in school. There are also more communities you can be part of. Try to be active as well. Um, Take on leadership opportunities as well in school, just to build a lot of these skills that will be much more relevant to you, that are much more relevant after school. And personally as well, I feel like people should try a lot more. One thing that I see people don't, or people make mistakes, is to say, look at something and then decide that, okay, I don't think I'm qualified for this, right? I think that mindset should be fault, or should be tackled head on, right? If you see something and you feel like, okay, this moves me towards my end goal, but I don't think I'm qualified for it, fine. It's okay, apply for it still, right? Give it a shot. You never can tell, right? So you should take more shots, actually. You should take more shots. Um, Rejections are fine, and it's one of the things that would shape you a lot. I've gotten rejected countless of times, and it doesn't define you. If you get rejected today, get rejected tomorrow, it doesn't mean you get rejected forever. You learn something from each rejection. So you should always try to take more shot and apply for things. It's not the end of the world. So take on more shots. And also be hardworking. All of these
Okay,
things,
okay,
all of
yeah. Actually,
yeah.
you've said a lot.
I know people try to give that advice, but personally, I think almost everything you need to do takes a lot of hard work, right? A lot of sleepless nights. You want to do well in
Yeah,
school, you need to be able to spend a lot of time with your books. You want to become good at programming, you need to spend more time writing code, all of these things. So you can't just say you want something and not work towards it. You need to be able to put in the work, and it's never easy. You have to make sacrifices, all of these things. But in the end, it's usually worth it. So yeah, just have that mindset of, yeah, I need to work on this thing. Yeah, if you're going to change your life or achieve a goal, there's no shortcuts. In my opinion, maybe some people know other shortcuts, but for me, there hasn't been any shortcuts for in my career
yeah.
at least.
There's no shortcut. There's no shortcut. There's no shortcut.
Yeah.
There's no shortcut. Yeah, all right. Thank you. That's very valuable. That's very valuable. And I think we are beginning to wrap up this session. And I'll just say a few things that I've also learned from this whole discussion. And I think one thing I've also reflected on over the years, I think it's more of what Toby still reiterated. When it comes to assessing yourself, knowing what you want. I mean, clarity is very important, honestly. In anything you want to do, if you really want to go far, you need to be able to see well, right? So clarity in what you want to do. I still hope I'm audible though. Clarity in what you want to do and what you want to achieve in life is very, very important. And once you're able to get that clarity, everything just works together towards that purpose in which you want to get, and then you just work out fine like that. So assessing yourself is very, very important. Know where you stand at the moment, know your skill set, know what you need to improve on. I mean, don't deceive yourself, right? I've always worked with that mindset. Don't if you don't know this, you don't know it. You need to like find a way of getting to know how it works, right? And then one thing I also learned over the years is that um, you know, if you have a goal, right, and then you don't plan, right? The goal is just wishful thinking because most people have this mindset. Even the goal of I want to travel abroad, I want to intern abroad, I want to because I had that goal too back then, right? But I didn't plan. I didn't plan for it, and I knew that that was where I missed it, right? So it's very much important to have a goal. It's wanted to have a goal. It's another thing to be able to plan accordingly, right? Plan, do the things that's required of you to get to that position of that you're looking for. And then yeah, because if you don't plan, it's just mere wishful thinking, right? So I think that would be all. So I want to sincerely appreciate you for taking out time. I mean, we've spent up to an hour now, and I'm really really excited. Even me, I'm already filled. My book here is filled. My journal is filled up, and we're very very happy to have you in our midst. And yeah, thank you very much. You guys can just keep on sending your emojis and let me know that you have been really impacted. And yeah, lastly, before we go, I want to entertain questions, right? I know if quite a number of persons here would have a lot of things to say, and I mean they've noted a lot of things, but okay, let me just check. Let me check the chat section so I can see what exactly people are talking about, and let's see how we can address the questions. Okay, so there's a lot of questions in here. Okay, the Andela community. Yeah, so if you didn't get that I think it's still very much active. The Andela learning community, you can check it online. And okay, so I said I've got a question. How did you position yourself and what kind of project did you build? Okay, I think this is probably talking about a project you built back then, your CV that you used. What kind of project did you build to get there? And plus, what's the market like right now? I think we actually answered some of these questions for web devs, mobile devs, and what would you advise devs to do right now? And what was it been like so far for the market for Java devs? Okay, cool. You build apps or do backend? And for beginners in tech stacks, these are the big questions. Would you advise Java or TypeScript, DSA, grinding lead code? And do you think AI is a good tool so far, or it's killing devs? I think you answered quite a number of them. Can you just summarize what he has asked briefly so that?
Yeah. I'll probably take it from the last one. AI is a good tool for sure. It just depends on how you use it. If you're if you're using AI to take shortcuts because you're trying to avoid learning something, I think that's the wrong way of doing it. Um, you should invest first in learning things properly and then use AI to just speed up and to maximize your efficiency, I would say. So AI is a tool to, you should use it, learn how to use it a lot, but it's not an excuse for you to avoid learning things properly. So for sure. What tech stack? I don't usually recommend tech stack because at some point, like it doesn't really matter anymore. You should be able to learn any programming language as a software engineer. I would say just pick, maybe depending on your short-term goal, right? Just pick a tech stack that aligns with your short-term goal. If, for example, if you're going to be a machine learning software engineer, machine learning engineer rather, Python is usually like what they use for that. So learn Python. It doesn't mean tomorrow you can learn TypeScript or Java. So just pick something that fits in your short-term goal right now and use that to kickstart your journey. So don't stress too much about, oh, would I get a job if I'm using Java? Would I get a job if I'm using TypeScript? So there's always going to be options for all of these people, all of these things rather. So just try to pick one that fits in your current goal and run with that. As the demand comes for learning something new, you should be able to easily pivot and learn something new. It's not the end of the world. I've written Java. I don't even write Java anymore today. I write something completely different. I've written Python. I've written TypeScript. So it's not the most important thing to spend too much time to think about. So just pick your short-term goal and look at the tech stack that fits in that and just start with that. Uh, I believe other things we've talked about that during the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. So lastly, someone is saying, how can someone get information when it's time for opportunity?
Right. Oh yeah, I think that's a good one. So so the obvious thing here is that have people around you, like form communities like this. So one person knows about something, they can share with other people. And by the way, I don't think if you learn about something and you should try to audit, you should always share things freely. Like, please, nobody's going to stop you from getting your own stuff, right? So personally, I think that's a personal thing, right? Don't try to hoard information. If you know something that can help the next person, please share it with them. So thing here is like have people you're working towards similar goals, and then you can always like share opportunities with yourself. But the actual way of finding things, for me, so almost any company you can think of as a career website. Almost any company you can think of. So try to spend time on companies' careers websites just to learn about opportunities. So if you're interested in working at Google, Meta, Goodman, all of these things, go to their career website frequently, check when they post about new stuff or when typically they have like new opportunities, and then you should stay on top of that. So that's the easiest way to find opportunities.
All right, all right, all right. Thank you very much, Toby. Because of our time, I think we've been able to successfully dissect this, and I think people here are now. I mean, you are now filled. You now know what to do. You now know how to pivot. You now know what next step you should take. And I think the onus is now on you as a person to make active preparation. I mean, Toby has done justice to the discussion, and I think okay, someone's asking this question. Let me see. I'm a newbie in tech, just a new grad. How can I get going in tech? How can I get going in tech, please? Especially software engineering. I think let me see. I'm a newbie in tech, just a new grad. How can I get going in tech? I don't really get that question exactly. I don't know if you get that to be this will be the last question I'm going to be taking anyways. I don't know if you get that question that the
I
person
guess
asked in the chat.
maybe I guess they're just asking about maybe how to become better, I guess.
Okay, okay,
Um,
okay. As a newbie in tech. I think
well,
Toby actually did just this. Okay.
yeah, yeah. I guess like you could watch the recordings. Maybe that will answer some of your questions.
Exactly,
Well,
exactly,
feel free
exactly. Yeah,
to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm very
yeah,
much
yeah. I was
active.
gonna do that as well. I was gonna do
Yeah, I'm
that
very
as well. I was gonna drop your LinkedIn um profile account on the chat. I would actually do that on general community. So just join the Water community. I will drop Toby's contact there. So Toby, thank you very, very much for this opportunity to gain insight into your work, to know about your journey, know about how you were able to sail through the interview, how you're able to stand out. And I mean, this has been a very intellectual discourse so far, and I want to sincerely appreciate you for taking out time to discuss to us, even though you had a very busy schedule. And I'm really, really glad, and I can assure you that everyone on this call have gotten something very tangible to work with and to run with. And I'm sure that very soon you hear about us, you would hear our stories, and then you'll be very glad. So thank you very much. Thank you once again. And also, I want to sincerely appreciate everyone that has joined this meeting. It's such a great privilege to have you all on this call. I mean, you guys are the next engineers out there, the next meta gurus and all those things. So we're very, very glad to have you all on this call. And we are, like I said earlier, this is hosted by GDGOU Web Development Community. The link is in the WhatsApp group. So please join us so that you can get more updates, more info. Like Toby said, don't hold updates, right? So by as God helps us to be able to do that on the group as well. That's one thing we do actually. We share updates, we give people info about the recent, openings and stuff like that. And at the same time, you also can do the same. And the community is also something that is also a place where you can also fast track your growth, whether you're a newbie, you're just starting out, or whatever it is that you are, just join the community and then reach out to persons there and would be of help to you. So I think this is such a great place to call it quits. And once again, I'm very, very happy to have you all join us on this call once again. And yeah, I think I'll call it quits here. So thank you very much for joining everyone. Have a nice night rest. Yeah,
thank you.
bye. Yeah, thank you again, Toby.